book. It's about the person you become on the other side of writing a book. What sort of book it is, it can be a business book, it can be a memoir, it can be anything. It can be a children's book. The process of writing will change your life. Welcome back to the Artist and Author Show. I'm your host, Tony Lontis, and today we have a really amazing guest and a dear friend of mine, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Keri Kilgore in just a moment. Now, remember, if you're watching this live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or the Everyday Women's Network, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and let us know your thoughts. And of course, with each and every interview, we have the information about our guests in the show notes. Don't forget to check those out, because each and every interviewee is an important part of the broader Everyday Women's Network family. Now, you can also see our shows on the Tony TV channel, which is available on Binge, Hero Go, and 350 other live streaming platforms across the planet. Again, links in the bottom of the show. If you've got a smart TV and you want to watch us on TV, then we're available on Roku, LG, Samsung, and via apps like Amazon Fire. So we love you to connect, subscribe, reach out and chat to us, because each and every week we bring you amazing guests who have wonderful insight into their particular topic and wisdom. Now, each and every week we do a welcome to country. Now, this is a special acknowledgement of the important role that our Indigenous people played in the development of Australia's cultural identity. So today I want to respectfully acknowledge the people of the Yugambeh language region, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and broadcast today. I want to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people listening and watching today. Now, we're going to be talking to Keri Kilgore, who owns an amazing publishing house. But before we get to talk to Keri, here's what you need to know. Keri works with visionary leaders and entrepreneurs who are stuck. They are gifted at what they do and know that becoming a published author would create a quantum shift in their business, but they don't know how to get started. Keri coaches authors on how to plan for and write a successful book. She taps into her writing, editing, and design skills to create a page turner with a kick-ass cover. And finally, she'll help you customize a best-selling marketing blueprint to sell as many copies as possible. Keri facilitates writing workshops each and every month that help entrepreneurs write stories to use in their public speaking, closing sales, social media, and in books. She has ghostwritten and published hundreds of books for authors and is currently writing a book entitled Can I Call You Mum?, about her experience as a foster mum to 26 teenagers, and Blink, a book about an abused and abandoned cult for the younger readers. Always ready for a new adventure, Keri is an avid motorcyclist. She has completed an iron butt ride on her BMW 1200 RT touring bike. She also gets recharged by spending time in nature, playing golf, hiking, biking, kayaking, and paddleboarding. She loves watercoloring, cooking, entertaining, and game nights, and especially enjoys a scotch on the back porch by her fire with her husband, Michael, her husband of 41 years. Keri, welcome to the show.
Oh, Tony, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. Yes, and I do love my husband.
I'm so glad to hear that. You know, it's lovely to know that there are still beautiful, enduring relationships across the planet, and I know yours is one. Just before the show, Karen and I were commenting on the weather. So Karen showed me outside, and there's a beautiful snowfall where she lives, and of course you can see in the background that beautiful fire lighting up and warming the room. Here in Australia, it is hot.
Summer.
And summer. And so last night we had a massive thunderstorm which wiped out the internet and our electricity. So I'm particularly grateful that I'd still get to talk to Karen today. Now, I thought I'd start the show with one of Karen's favorite motivational quotes, and it is, "What you seek is seeking you," by Rumi. Karen, what does that quote mean to you?
Oh, it's so powerful because you know how you have desires in you. You've got like they're burning in you, and they're not just for you. They're for the universal good, and so the universe also wants that. It wants you to have that, and so it orchestrates situations so that you get what you are desiring because it's for the universal good.
And
What you
Karen,
are seeking is seeking you.
and sometimes just relaxing and surrendering to that is an important component, isn't it?
Yes, because you can put out your desire and know that it is, that God, the universe is working on it, but you don't know how it's going to come. You don't know what form it's going to look like. And so you have to remain unattached because it might be way better than you think.
I know.
You might be thinking small. And so, so you remaining unattached to it and letting it come to you as it sees fit is absolutely beautiful. My word for the year this year is synchronicity. And it has very much to do with that because it's like you're watching all these pieces come together and all of a sudden it's like, yes, it's all, you think it's happenstance, but it's not. It's all guided and directed. Yeah, even
Karen,
your electrical storm.
Oh, absolutely. It actually meant that we went to bed super early because there was nothing we could do, which was perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, right.
Karen,
Yeah.
you're a publisher and your business is called Quantum Shift Media. And so I wanted to start the show and understand a little bit more about publishing from your perspective, firstly.
Mm-hmm. I love making books better. Anybody can publish, but I love making a book as absolutely the best it can be. And so that sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, is a quantum shift in the writing.
Yeah.
Like working on one section and all of a sudden all this stuff opens up and all this enlightenment and understanding. And so, and I want books to be a quantum shift in the reader's life and anyone, whoever picks it up. And so I base all my work on energetics. And so I really get in touch with the heart and soul of what you're trying to say.
Oh, Karen, that's why I love you so much, because the spiritual component makes the difference.
It really does. Oh my gosh, it does. And so I really get into it. Like, what does this book want to say? How can I help the author say this the best way possible? And a lot of time, when you write something, you only have your own perspective. You really do need an outside perspective to help you see what how other people are going to perceive it. And so doing that from a spiritual connecting to the book is that's what I do. I don't know. I can't do it any other way. It's just, that's how I do it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Karen, in talking about books and publishing, one of the key things a business owner or a brand can do is actually write a book. So with loads and loads of amazing books out there, why write on a particular topic if that topic has already been published?
Good question. Everybody has a unique voice and a unique perspective. And yes, it can be said, but somebody might need to hear it the way you say it, from your experiential viewpoint, and not from a standard, from someone else's. And so there is the energetics of the book coming into someone's hand. The universe guides and directs that, and your book might be exactly what someone needs to know. And the way you say it might be exactly how they need to hear it. And so, yeah, because there's many, it's like driving a car. There's many ways to get to Boston or to Perth or wherever you're going. And so, so your route and your message is unique, and there are people who need to hear just that. So that is why. And your perspective on the same topic is not going to be the same as anyone else.
Karen, can you describe, from all your years in publishing, how a book can impact your business, your brand, your message?
Being a published author is, it can up your credibility tremendously. That's one big one. Putting published author under your, email signature and your talks, on your profile. But it also helps you in your business by doing some of the work for you that you continually repeat. You say the same thing over and over and over to somebody. And so they can just say, read chapter 1 and then let's talk, or read chapter 10 and then let's talk for 50. It saves you a ton of time if you're saying the same thing over and over. You've got your secret sauce, and save your very secret sauce for the results driven with your client, and give all the basic fundamentals to them in some kind of a book format, so that they can know exactly how to work with you. It can save you a ton of time and get you better results faster. You can have results with your client much faster by that. So that's two big reasons. Also, a book can get you on speaking platforms and get you in front of the public very much. In fact, there are many platforms that unless you are a published author, you're not invited to even be a speaker. And then being a speaker is going to sell your book. So it's all synergistic. You sell your books, you become a speaker. It all works together. And when you have a really good book you're proud of, it can catapult you, launch you into a whole new level.
Karen, what's the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing? Now, I want to just, one point here is, often self-publishing is called vanity publishing, and I really dislike that terminology, because I actually don't think that's just not the way to describe it. If you've been given a message and you feel driven to write about that message, that's got not a lot to do with vanity. What are your thoughts, Karen?
Yeah, the vanity is a term that is not so much used anymore. More indie publishing is more the term. Yes, thank goodness. I agree. And the term was kind of based out of publishing a book so that you could be known, or it wasn't really for the content. It was just to have a book published, and that's not the case anymore. And so indie publishing is different than traditional. Traditional, really, it takes a long time to get a book accepted by a traditional publisher. And when you're indie publishing, you can publish and have all the profits, much more benefit from it. And then a lot of times, once it's successful, a traditional publisher might even want to pick up the rights to it. However, if they do, you give up rights to the cover, the way the cover looks, the way the interior, the content. They're going to take a lot. They might take a lot of your content out, and they keep, a significant portion of your profits. And then you also are required to sell the book just like you would if you published it yourself. And so I support traditional publishing.
Absolutely.
I do. I really do. It's a wonderful tool for the right person, especially if you are a celebrity and you already have a name going, a massive following. However, for most people who are not, Tom Clancy or, Stephen King, doing independent publishing is much better.
Yes.
And the way I work, I know there are some publishers who still keep a profit of your book and charge you for some of and you need to be kind of careful to check it out, because a lot of times you don't know that.
Yeah.
And so the way I work with my authors is that they keep all rights, everything. They own everything. I even give them the original book files that I'm working with. I give them everything.
Yes.
And I don't retain, I empower them completely because they own it. It's theirs. And I want to empower them as much as I can. So I always recommend starting to publish it yourself. And my publishing company is the indie version. So they're publishing under my label, which gives them credibility, but they retain all the rights. I don't own any of the rights. The money comes directly to you.
And it is that credibility that they get. Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, it does. It adds a great deal of credibility to have a label. It's not, and the vanity publishing is more your label, and it doesn't look professional. But if you go with a publishing company that is going to retain your rights for you and help and empower you for it, then you have nothing to lose. It's all in your, it can only go uphill. It's all good. So that's what I recommend.
Fantastic, Karen. Tell me about your marketing plan that can bring in 10K in 90 days. That's very cool. Can you tell the audience about it?
Yes, it's wonderful. It's called the 90-Day Book Launch Blueprint. And one of the first, it's a whole DIY marketing program to get your book launched. It can be for a book you have written 5 years ago and you want to relaunch it. It could be for one you're writing now. It could be, you could use it every 2 years and launch your book again. And so you can use it. It's not just for brand new books. If your book has been on the shelf for a while, relaunch it, get it back out there. If it needs a new cover, put a new cover on it and relaunch it. So it's a book launch program designed. It gives you every tool you need. I start with a timeline, so you know when we're going to launch it, and I give you literally every step in the process and the date you need to have it done by. And how much time it's going to take you to do it. Then I give you all the templates, all the social media templates. I give you everything you need. And the first thing we do is a sales forecasting, so we can determine how many books you need to sell, how many new clients you need to bring in to make 10,000. And it's not, you'd be surprised how easy it is. You really would. You really would. And I have done it with many people, and they say, well, I could make $1 million. I bring in 15 clients, I sell 500,000 books. And it's like, yeah, there you go. You're well over 10,000. And so it's
Karen,
really,
it's actually still possible to sell 500,000 books in this current climate.
Yes, it is. If you have you need a really good plan. This is the thing, is about a good plan and right action. If you don't have a good plan, you're not going to get there. If you have a good plan and you know what action to take, there is a very high success rate. And so it really depends on the author and their plan. What plan do you have? If you don't have a plan, it's like a shotgun, and hope you hit something.
If you don't plan, you set yourself up for failing. Karen, so that could go for an existing book you've got, and purely selfish questions here, because I have an existing memoir, and we've talked about turning that into a fiction novel. The same thing. It could work the same way.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so what's the best way to connect with you and chat about the Blueprint marketing plan?
If you go to my website, it's quantumshiftmedia.com, and then there is on a bunch of pages, an actual schedule button, and you can book an appointment with me right there, right on the website.
Fantastic.
And yeah, and if someone, anybody, and what I promise is that if in the conversation, I'm at least going to point you in the right direction and give you information you didn't have to begin with. And if we're a good fit to work together, awesome. And if not, I bless you and empower you and want the very best for you. And because so that's yeah.
Karen, you provide people with loads of information, and so they'll know very clearly if it's right for them or not. But I know from talking with Karen that there is a really easy to follow plan that you can get you the results that you may not have had before, or you may not have understood before. So I'll just use myself as an example. When I published my book, I had no brand, no name, not anything. And so to leap now 5 years later, completely different scenario.
Right. So what I would do in your case, just as an example, is meet with you, look at the cover, scan through the book a little bit, see, is there anything you really want to update? Is there things you don't believe anymore? Is there things you would want to add? Do you have new modalities or ways to help people and solve problems? Do we need to update any of the content? Does the cover need to be updated? And those are easy. Those are not that hard to do those things.
Not nowadays.
Exactly. And then relaunch the thing, relaunch the book again, and second edition or third edition.
Karen, it doesn't matter whether it's a memoir or a business book, does it? Or you want to convert a memoir to a fiction book, because you deal with all of those genres?
I do. And a lot of times I'll recommend a memoir be written as a fiction because you can expand. You do not have to stick to the truth, and you can make it a little bit juicier and a little bit more intriguing. And you can develop your characters a little bit more and still make your point. But when I'm doing that, I'm always, even though there's conflict and trauma or whatever the memoir is about, it's always pain. But there has to be some intrinsic value at the end where somebody is a better person, has learned something.
Correct.
Can be better at the end. We do not want to leave anybody in a despair. We want to keep them in higher levels of frequency. And so a novel of fiction is a beautiful way of doing that. A lot of times it really is.
Every time I think of you, every time and I knew that this wonderful interview was coming up, I'm like, I'm prompted in the back of my head, what are you going to do with that memoir, Tony? What are you going to do with that memoir? And then additionally, as I'm talking to you, I'm like, oh my goodness, I could actually now write a book about non-traditional media. And I'm like, I haven't actually thought of that before. But as I'm talking to you.
Yes, good. See, this is part of the creative energy, is all kinds of things start coming. I'm telling you, when I'm working with somebody, it's like, I get this idea, and it's like, and that's just part of being aligned and receiving. It's all just receiving and being in alignment to hear it. But all kinds of things really do get created. So I can think of lead magnets for you, little pieces of things that could be a lead magnet for you, just a little ebook or something. And yes, and then another one, I wanted to make a point that some people who are really, really busy, and they're like, when in the world am I ever going to write?
And that's the thing. That's right.
I know. Okay, so what I do, and it's kind of ghostwriting, but it's really in your voice. And so what I have people do is record their story. And so they just say it, just record it in your phone, in whatever, just get it said, because that is your voice and only you can say it. You don't even have to be a good writer. You just have to be able to say it. You need a good editor to make it look right, but you need to get it said. Nobody can say it.
You have those amazing people in your
I have some great
your business.
And And I don't let anything go without me seeing it. So I'm making sure I'm
Oh, wow.
I read everything, and I don't publish anything that I have not got my hands on, because I can say there's an energy drop here. We're missing the reader. We got to change this. And so I'm doing all that.
Yes.
And I love that, because that's I see things. I see it differently. You know, I see it different than other people. So if you are just like so busy and you cannot possibly, you don't know how in the heck you're ever going to get that done, record it, and record it while you're walking, or in the mornings when you're getting ready, or whenever, you know, just start recording it. And then you can transcribe it and write it from there. And the whole first draft could be done for you.
Yes.
And then you can go in and read it and put your little take on it. So that's an option for
for lots
people,
of people. That's an option.
Yeah, and if you do the time value thing, you don't want to be spending your time doing something. You could be making money, speaking, doing, you know, whatever you're gifted, your zone of genius. And so stay in your zone of genius.
Yeah.
The world goes around better when we do.
I know. Karen, the other thing that you do for people is you run writing workshops. Can you tell the audience about those?
I do. I have writing workshops 3 times a week. And they are a sacred space of just writing. And so I'll start with a centering and a meditation, and then we all receive. I just get everybody kind of centered, and then we write for 2 hours. And I asked one of my clients today, I said, Helen, what do you think of the writing workshop? She says, oh, absolutely essential. And it's like she wouldn't get her book done if she wasn't coming to the workshops. And so it's a space holding you accountable, giving you the sacred area. And then probably more importantly is the energetics between everybody in the group. You know, when you're with other people like-minded, you just write, it's just more powerful. So those are fun.
Fantastic, Karen, fantastic. I'm conscious of our time, and I really want to know how people can connect to you and how people can work to you. Is your website, Quantum Shift Media, the best place to go, Karen?
Yes, that's a good one. And you'll see at the bottom scheduling. There's a scheduling link on there. I think it's right on the top. And and so they can just go and schedule a call with me. And
you know, it's talk not to anyone about from concept to a relaunch to an idea, everyone.
Because they might be in a phase, someone might be in a phase where they have a book, they just need to relaunch it. Somebody else might have an idea, they need some author coaching to help refine it and get it out of them. Somebody might be just needing the design of the book. And so it depends on where you're at. I can, you know, so that's why I need to talk to people and really get a feel for what they're doing. And so it's all very much centered on the client, very much centered on you, on the person.
Karen, is there anyone that you can't work with? I know that's a leading question.
No, that's
but for some people might think, oh no, she'd never work with me. But so I want to clear that up for the audience.
My sweet spot is working with people who are visionaries. They have an idea that's going to make a really big difference, and they need to get that message out. And that could be a lot of different people. But they really, and you don't have to be a good writer. You don't have to have grammar or punctuation or know how to construct sentences. You just have to have a message that you know is going to make a difference. And that is, that's it. And the rest can be done. The rest can be fixed.
The rest, you have the skills, knowledge, wisdom to do the rest.
The rest can be smoothed out, but nobody can say what you have to say. Only you can say it.
I know, Karen. I speak that to people all the time, particularly women. You might think,
women.
Women tend to think someone else has written about that, but they can't write from your unique voice and perspective. That's what makes the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'm doing is collaborative books, and that's where 20, 25 authors come together on a subject. And that is a powerful tool because you're
Yes.
connecting with all these other networks and all these other people
Yes.
who have a different perspective on the same subject. And so I've got a bunch of these in the works. I've got a whole pile of these collaborative books. I've got one on homeless. I've got one on dating, women and sexuality and dating.
Yes.
I've got one on mothers, because how many people have issues with their mother not being mothered, not being parented?
Yeah.
One on fathers in the same way. I've got a lot of these. And
Karen,
yeah.
When you're talking about collaborative books, you're actually just committing to writing a small chapter. And for people that may be a little apprehensive about their writing journey, often this is the best way to start.
Yes.
And so whilst I've written my own book, I've also been part of lots of collaboration or anthology books.
Yes, exactly.
And it actually really helps, particularly for busy women or women who are a bit, or men who are unsure about their writing journey and they just want to tip their toes and see what it's like. An anthology or a collaborative book is an amazing way to go. So, Karen, you've got a whole range of these openings at the moment, yes?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I have a number. And the beauty of it is that I lead a writing workshop where you actually write your chapter, and then I'm editing it and designing the book and marketing. So you have very little to do. You just need to write your chapter. So it's honestly, very little work on the author's part.
Yep.
But nobody can say it like they can say it. They got to say it.
Yeah. Karen, before we run out of time, I just wanted to quickly touch on your beautiful book covers. When I was just reviewing my notes before we got on the interview, I was looking at some of those book covers and I'm like, I must remember to ask. They're beautiful. Like, they're really beautiful.
Yeah, I really connect with the cover. The cover needs to be very, very professional, and it needs to be something that you are so proud to put your name on. And I have seen so many covers that just look off. They look self-published, to be honest. They just look like it was and it doesn't need to be that way. Your cover should be very professional. And so I put a lot of effort into the cover design. And
you can see that, Karen. You can see that in the covers because they're really beautiful. They almost reach off the cover and connect to you. That's how I felt. That's what I wanted to say today in the interview about your book covers. They're very special.
Thank you. Yeah, because I work on them until they have the energy that they need. Literally, I go into the energetics of them. And then on the back cover, the first thing you do is turn a book over and you read about the bio, and then you read the person's bio. And so I have a bionic bio course that I make all my authors go through and write a really good bio, because if it's terrible, you're going to lose readers.
Yes.
Yes. You're going to lose your readers.
Like, that's the thing that gets people to read your book. It's a small piece of writing, but it's a powerful tool in your writing journey.
So I've got a bionic bio course. It's really cheap. It's 2 hours, and you can write a bionic bio, and it's like nail it.
Fantastic. Karen,
very important.
I'm so delighted that I've had the pleasure of your company on the show today. Before we run out of time, once again, can you tell people the best way to connect with you? Now, your socials, you're on Facebook and LinkedIn. Can you tell the audience about those for me, please?
Yes, I'm on, and if you go to my website, quantumshiftmedia.com, you'll see the links to everything at the footer. And yes, Twitter, LinkedIn is I'm all over LinkedIn. Facebook, I have a Facebook tribe for people for connecting, and then just personal connecting. I always like to connect with you individually. That's my favorite.
Amazing. Karen, I'm just so happy that we got to do this. I actually believe that there are more things ahead for us in the future. I'm pretty excited about 2023. 2022 was kind of difficult, let's just say. but I'm starting to be more and more excited about 2023. Karen Kilgore, thank you for coming on the author show today and telling us about publishing. I look forward to more working together in the future, and I'm encouraging the audience, if you've got a glimmer of a thought about a book, please connect to Quantum Shift Media and Karen. And you can mention this show and say, this is how you heard about Karen, but I encourage you, if this is the year you want to get going on that book, because there's some powerful years ahead for the planet and for humanity, and you want to be part of that. Yeah?
Yes. Very good. Absolutely.
Karen, thank you so much for coming on the show. And that, my friends, is your lot for this week. We will see you again next week for another episode of the Artist and Author Hour. I'm your host, Tony Lontis. You've been listening to the glorious Karen Kilgore, and we'll be back next week with more. It's not about the book. It's about the person you become on the other side of writing a book. What sort of book it is. It can be a business book, it can be a memoir, it can be anything. It can be a children's book. The process of writing will change your life.